This is Augie Macro with Cryptid Creatures. Today we are going to talk about one of the most infamous and terrifying legends in all of history, the Dogman. Throughout history, people from all over the world have reported encounters with strange predatory animals that could only be described as being a cross between man and beast. The most common depiction of this is the werewolf, also known as the Lycanthrope or the Dogman. Eyewitnesses report these creatures as being large wolf-like animals with human-like features such as large humanoid hands and the ability to walk upright. They've also been described as having the head of a wolf or German shepherd, large glowing orange or red eyes, and large hind paws, which would allow it to walk upright more easily. These creatures have been reported throughout the world in many different forms, such as the bearilla of Kentucky, Anubis of ancient Egyptian mythology, and the Adlet of Inuit mythology. Tales of werewolves originate in Greek mythology, particularly with the legend of King Lycaon of Arcadia. Lycaon was a ruthless tyrant who sought to test the omnipotence of the god Zeus. He did this by inviting him to a dinner where he fed him the boiled flesh of his son, Nyctimus. Being that Zeus was all-knowing, he immediately restored the dead child's life and banished King Lycaon to roam the wilderness as a savage beast, a wolf. Other stories of werewolves began to appear throughout Europe and Asia, with stories such as the Cynocephaly, a race of dog-headed men from Europe and Central Asia, the Loup-garou, the French equivalent of the werewolf, and the Haxan wolf, a German version of the story. Norse mythology has its own versions of the werewolf story, such as the Berserkers, a group of Viking-like peoples who donned the skins of bears in order to attain their strength and power in battle, and the Saga of the Volsungs, a story of a father and son who discover magic wolf pelts that allow the wearer to become a wolf. They don these pelts and venture off into the wilderness. The father loses total control, however, and kills his son in a savage rage. In Native American folklore, particularly that of the Navajo tribe, there are stories of skinwalkers, who are evil witch doctors that use dark magic in order to attain the powers of wild animals. They do this by wearing the pelts of certain animals such as bears, coyotes, and wolves. Other versions of the skinwalker story from throughout the Americas include the Nagual of the Mesoamerican cultures and the Limichan of the Mohawk tribe. As Christianity, and particularly the Catholic Church, spread throughout Europe during medieval times, werewolf stories became associated with the occult, with witchcraft, and with the devil himself. This led to an upsurge in witch trials and werewolf hunts. Though many people who were executed because of this were merely innocent people that were caught up in the mass hysteria, others truly believed themselves to be savage killing machines. Some people today believe this is merely some form of psychosis. However, scientists today attribute it to a fungus known as ergot. Ergot grows on rye grain and, if ingested, can cause things such as hallucinations and seizures, which are very similar to the symptoms they attributed to demonic possession. Were these people truly possessed by demons? Were they psychotic? Or were they afflicted with this strange fungus? We may never know. Another legend often associated with the werewolf story is that of the Beast of Gévaudan. This creature is said to be a large wolf or hyena-like animal with dark reddish-brown fur, 5 or 6 claws on each of its paws, cat-like agility, and the ability to walk on 2 legs. The beast was said to have made a rampage throughout southern France, attacking over 200 people and killing 113 individuals. It was most well known for tearing the throats and devouring the unborn children of pregnant women.
Gruesome, isn't it?
By June of 1767, the beast was finally slain by a man named Jean Chastel, who supposedly shot it with a silver bullet made from a chalice which was blessed by a priest. This is where the origin of the silver bullet comes from. Another legend is that of the Rougarou, a werewolf story that comes from the bayous of Louisiana. The story originates with the Acadians, a group of French peoples who settled what is now New Brunswick and Nova Scotia in eastern Canada. During the French and Indian War, they were exiled to Louisiana and brought with them their French stories of the Lougarou, their own werewolf. When combined with the African cultures of the slave trade and the folklore of the Native Americans, the Cajun culture was born, and with that, the Rougarou. The Rougarou is said to be a werewolf that is created through some sort of curse, either by committing some taboo or getting attacked by another Rougarou. And the only way to get rid of this affliction is to either die or pass it on to someone else by biting them. One supposed origin story of the Rougarou relates to the Attakapaw Indians, a tribe from what is now the Gulf Coast of Texas and Louisiana. The Attakapaw were known for their brutality, even cannibalizing upon their enemies who had fallen in battle. In the story, 2 other neighboring tribes allied and fought a ruthless battle with the Attakapaw. The Attakapaw lost fatally and sought help from their shamans and witch doctors in order to revive their dying. In doing so, they were turned into skinwalkers, which supposedly still roam the bayous of Louisiana today as the Rougarou. There have been many different theories to explain exactly what these creatures are. One of them being therianthropy, the concept of a human being able to turn into an animal. This idea has taken many different forms throughout the world, particularly in this case, synanthropy, the ability to turn into a dog or a dog-like creature. Though there are other forms, such as ailuranthropy, the ability to turn into a cat, which has fueled many different folkloric characters throughout the world, such as the were-tiger of India, Sekhmet, a lion-headed goddess of Egyptian mythology, and the were-jaguar of Aztec folklore. There have been other forms, though, such as were-bears in Europe, the kushtaka, a were-otter from Alaska, and the baltungan, a were-hyena from West Africa. The ability of the individual to shapeshift into these creatures has been attributed to many things, such as a disease or a syndrome of some kind, a curse, or some act of evil allowing them to gain this ability, in the case of creatures such as the skinwalker. Some more scientific explanations in modern times have been things such as hypertrichosis, nicknamed werewolf syndrome, which causes the individual to grow excess hair all over their bodies, leading to some more well-known things such as the dog-faced boy from the freak shows and other such things. Other phenomena include full moon madness, which is the idea that the full moon somehow affects one's abilities to control their impulse, or demonic possession in the case of medieval times, or even clinical lycanthropy, a form of psychosis that leads people to believe that they can become a wolf. While filming on location for the Hodag of Horror, we had the opportunity to visit 2 infamous Dogman locations: Manistee National Forest near Cadillac, Michigan, home of the Michigan Dogman, and Bray Road in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, home of the Beast of Bray Road. Here we are in Wexford County, Michigan, at Manistee National Forest, where over the years there have been many reports of a creature known as the Michigan Dogman. The Dogman is said to be about 7 feet tall, with black or gray fur and blue or amber eyes, with a howl similar to a human scream. Though its first official sighting was in 1887, it is thought to have been around since the time of the Ottawa Indians of the area. Its most famous sighting was in 1937 by a man named Robert Fortney in Paris, Michigan, who was supposedly attacked by 5 wild dogs, one of them walking on 2 legs. There are many similarities between the Michigan Dogman, Beast of Bray Road, and other canid humanoid creatures. Are they one and the same? We may never know. Here we are on Bray Road in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, home of perhaps the most infamous canid humanoid in U.S. history, the Beast of Bray Road. Accounts go back to at least the 1930s, but possibly all the way back to Native American times. Eyewitnesses report a large 7-foot-tall creature with the head of a wolf or German shepherd, black or gray fur, and glowing orange eyes. Many eyewitnesses report the creature eating roadkill along the side of the road, or even chasing their cars, sometimes at speeds over 60 miles an hour. There's oftentimes a supernatural aspect to the creature, such as its ability to cloak itself within a gray fog. Many believe that it is simply a flesh and blood animal, while others think it's a supernatural being from another dimension, or even satanic in origin. Are any of these theories true? Is it a real flesh and blood animal, or something beyond? We may never know. Some modern Dogman stories, such as the Beast of Bray Road, connect the story to satanic cult worship, and others have even attributed the stories to a more unearthly origin, such as being from an alternate dimension or alternate universe. People who have said this and proposed this connect the stories to other unusual paranormal phenomena that occur while these dogmen are sighted, such as UFO phenomena, ghost phenomena, orbs, and on occasion, the dogman's ability to disappear into a cloud of black fog or smoke. The idea of it disappearing into a cloud of black fog originates from medieval times as well, with stories of hellhounds, and particularly an English version of the story, a phantom black dog known as the Black Shuck, which is thought of as an omen of death and disaster. This creature was also reported to be able to disappear into a cloud of black mist. Proponents of the idea that the Dogman is an ultra-terrestrial have suspected that there are certain locations in the world that attract these unearthly dogmen. For example, the Skinwalker Ranch of eastern Utah, the Chestnut Ridge of western Pennsylvania, the Great Lakes region, and the land between the lakes in western Tennessee and Kentucky. We had the opportunity to interview author and paranormal researcher Dewey Edwards, who has done extensive research on the Dogman legend, particularly in the land between the lakes region of western Tennessee and Kentucky.
Yeah, land between the lakes is known as the dark and bloody ground. There's a lot of things going on there, a lot of things we haven't figured out what's going on there. There's been a lot of Bigfoot sightings, a lot of Dogman sightings. A I even heard a rumor the other day that there was a chupacabra had been sighted there. And then somebody said there was a 4-foot Mothman had been seen in the area. So it's a
Interesting.
pretty much a wild and woolly place. It was actually, it used to be people's homes. The TVA came in and they decided to dam up the Cumberland River and also the Tennessee River, and they built dams and flooded the whole area.
One of the more well-known accounts of Dogman in the area is the massacre at the Land Between the Lakes.
Supposedly, this family went camping there in 82. I think it was about April of 82. And they parked there. So the way the story goes, they sold their farm and they bought an RV and a little Chevy Chevette to pull behind it. And they went camping. Went camping Land Between the Lakes, and they parked it in the parking spot, unhooked the little Chevette from it, backed it in, and they were in the process of getting it set up for the night. And from out of the woods came this one, possibly two, Dogman. And I reckon it killed the man right off the bat. The son, he was trying to get back into the RV, and they actually just ripped him apart there in front of it, from what his mother was watching. The mother got her daughter and brought her back in the back bedroom and locked the door. This Dogman supposedly ripped the door off of the RV, and one of them came in through the back window, and one of them come in through the door, and they just literally just annihilated them. And the little girl was found supposedly hanging in a tree out behind the RV. Like I said, there was a witness, and he supposedly had went to the restroom, and he came back when all this was going on, and he saw what was happening, and he crawled up underneath the RV and hid between the drive shaft and the body. And after everything kind of quieted down and the creatures were gone, he snuck out and ran to the road to get help. And he flagged a farmer down who took him to a phone, and they called the police. And I reckon the military showed up. There were several. Somebody said there was like 5 or 6 different coroners. It was on the site. They evidently somebody from Fort Campbell, they came in with a truck, and they went out and hunted this thing down and killed it and brought it back and put it on the truck. And it was a 6x, I think one of the military 6x's. Supposedly it covered the whole bed of the truck. It was a massive creature. And that's one way. That's one story that way it goes. The other one was basically the same thing, but there was no witness to it. These 2 hikers were walking down the road, by the campground, and they just happened to see the bodies laying there, and they called, authorities. I don't know which one of them is actual true, if any of them are or not. I don't know. There's no documentation on it. There's no death certificates that we can find. There's no newspaper articles. The whole thing has either been, it didn't happen, or the government has swept everything under the rug.
Bigfoot and Dogman seem to, on occasion, interact and cooperate. Do you think there might be a connection between the two?
One I remember the most is the one where Martin Groves had his encounter at his campground. He come back into camp that night, and evidently the Dogman and the Bigfoot followed him in, and they said I think they fired shots at both of them, and they were able to get in the truck and get out of there before they lost their lives. And he's under the impression that the Bigfoot is kind of superior over the Dogman. If they can actually give them orders or whatever, or kind of control them.
Have you had any encounters yourself?
I've never seen one, and I don't know what would happen if I did see one. I have seen things I thought may have been one. We were going to LBL to film a part of a documentary with Small Town Monsters back in the late summer, early fall, and we come in from a north end on the Kentucky side, and as I think it was about the 6.5 mile marker right before you get into the LBL, or at the edge of the LBL. I noticed a park ranger's truck sitting off the other side of the road. It's a divided highway. Then there's a little service road off in the edge of the field. Well, he was parked in the field because he's parked the opposite direction where we were going. And I just happened to look. He was standing there with binoculars looking over the field. And thought, what's he looking at? So I just happened to glance up the middle of the field, and there was this big black creature. And it was down on all fours when I saw it. I mean, it was big. It was a lot bigger than any bear I'd ever seen. But it was about the color of a bear. And I thought, well, it could have been a buffalo. Maybe, they had bison, was in the bison range or close by it anyway. And so I had her go down to the next little flip flop and turn around. We came back, and by that time the ranger was in the center of the field, and he was walking toward the woods. And so we went about another mile up the road and turned around and come back. And by that time the ranger was at the edge of the woods, and we didn't see anything. But about a half a mile, maybe a mile further down the road, is the bison range, and there was a couple of them standing over there inside the fenced area. And I noticed, this thing I saw didn't have no kind of coloration, like the buffalo did. Buffalo were kind of a dark, kind of a brown with a dark mane, and this thing was jet black, whatever it was. And it could have been a bear, I don't know, but I thought it was kind of odd that the ranger, I reckon, had enough courage or whatever to walk across the field behind it, so it may have been a buffalo, I don't know. I tried the rest of the day to try to find a park ranger to ask him, what it may have been, because I figured somebody had seen it, and there should have been a radio call or something. He should have reported on radio where he was at or something, but nobody I could find knew anything about it, so I don't know.
What's your opinion on the Dogman phenomenon?
Oh, that is a good question. My gut feeling tells me that some kind of a government project, a super soldier project. They're, from what I have read and heard, that everybody that has actually supposedly shot one, that the government has come in and threatened them not to say anything about it. They call them their assets. There was one somebody had on the YouTube channel, or on somebody's YouTube channel, they was talking about it. This truck driver actually killed one, and then they found out who he was, and come to visit him and threatened to, I reckon, just destroy his whole life if he ever said anything about it. And that was several years ago. Several months ago, in a little town called Bumpus Mills, which is right outside LBL, supposedly these two dog men came into this woman's yard and killed their dogs, ate one of them, and they climbed on top of the house and actually pulled the electrical service and that thing loose from the house, trying to get on top of the house. But anyway, her son-in-law, I think it was her brother-in-law, came over, and I think he shot at one of them, or maybe did shoot one of them, and to run them off. Next day, they got wind that it was over behind a sawmill or something, so they went there to check on it to see, and said this like a moving van, like a small, like a U-Haul truck or something, unmarked, pulled up, and these 6 or 7 people in camouflage jumped out of the back of it and took off toward the woods. Well, the sheriff's department was there, and supposedly they had a shootout. And these people told the sheriff's department, "You have no jurisdiction here. You need to leave. We got this under control. You hadn't seen anything. You need to leave." So they went off into the woods, and they heard 3 shots. And then a little while later, these men came out with something wrapped up in a tarp, something big wrapped up in a tarp, and drug it toward the truck. So they put it in the back of the truck, and it was so heavy that the back of the truck just sagged down, And they got in the truck and drove off. Well, people tried to follow them, and this other car come out of nowhere, I reckon, and running interference for it, I reckon. And the truck got away. They don't know where it went.
If you were to give advice to a new incoming cryptid researcher, paranormal investigator, what would you say?
Keep your head on a swivel, look around you at all times, be prepared. Like I said, have a way to defend yourself. If you're going into LBL, like I said, look up, down, sideways, because these things have been seen in trees and everything else. Don't go out alone. Have somebody with you. Another thing about LBL is there's a lot of, especially around these old campsites and all, and around these homesteads and all, there's a lot of wells, a lot of cisterns, a lot of holes. Watch where you're walking, but let somebody know where you're at, Keep your first aid kit with you. Keep your head on a swivel, and if you're going to do it at night, go out in daytime and scout the area out first in daytime before you go. And that's all I can think of right off. Be careful,
How could someone find your books?
Yeah, my books are available on Amazon. You just do a search for my name, and it'll bring all my books up. I have my own little bookstore, and it's called Soggy Bottom Bookstore. It's on Facebook. If anybody's up around Adams, Tennessee, there's a restaurant there called Moss's Restaurant. It's in the old Bell school building. They have them there. They carry my books for me there too. And also, if you're in the area of Springfield, at the Robertson County Archives, they also carry my books for me too.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching, and in order to like, subscribe, share, and watch our previous and future episodes, visit the Cryptid Creatures YouTube channel. Cryptid Creatures is brought to you by the Kitty Petters Union, Cobble Sound Recording Company, and my dad's show, Meet the Pressers. This is Cryptid Creatures with Augie Macro, signing off.